Epilogue. Dark clouds form over Coruscant's vast cityscape. The faint rumble from thunder, mixed with the sound of speeders rushing about, fills the air. Many years ago, one would be able to hear the sounds of music from the many clubs that were dotted about the vast underbelly of Coruscant. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not that it matters, not that any of us would have time for that sort of thing. I continued to watch him. The danger is no more, but he still insists that I should leave. There is no point in calling for help. There is nothing anyone can do. I watched the rain bounce off him. He never let me see his face. I did not need to see it. The rain starts to come down hard and fast, and the noise of the speeders and thunder disappears. I will stay with him until his last breath, I say to myself, even though he would not do the same for me.
Chapter 1.
It had been a long day at work. 3 fights in one day, and one was so bad that Imperial troops had to be called in to break it up. I always shudder when Imperials come into my cantina, because I know that one day they will come in to shut me down. I close my eyes and try to control my breathing, but I still feel shaky. I make my way into my room, which I always do when I am stressed. The room has red and gold materials hanging down from the ceiling. If one stands in the centre and rotates slowly, the dim light from outside would catch on the shards of reflective metals in the gold material, and would shine through the red material, causing a purple-like light to hit the 4 walls of the room. So this is what I do. I squint so that the shards of light turn into beads of oranges and yellows. I always thought that this room creates what I imagine the galaxy to look like from afar. After the 7th slow turn, the light from outside suddenly vanishes and I am plunged into darkness. Now that the light is gone and my eyes adjust, I can see my room for how it really looks. The walls run thick with stains of green and brown that no matter how hard I had tried to remove would not budge. The ceiling has many shades of grey and one blotch of red that's been there for as long as I can remember. There are a small cluster of cabinets that line the top half of the far wall. The light brown that the cabinets had been has now gone almost as grey as the ceiling. One of the doors is hanging off its hinges and it almost seems to sway, as if from a breeze that is not there. I conclude that the light disappearance is due to a Star Destroyer passing overhead, as a continuous reminder of the Empire's ever-growing presence in the galaxy. Even though I despise the Empire, I cannot help but marvel through the shutters that line my window each time one passes over. I always thought that Star Destroyers have a certain amount of grace about them. I start to make my way over to the window, careful not to trip over anything in the darkness, and open the shutters. To my surprise and slight disappointment, there is nothing. Not even a parked speeder, and the only thing that could have caused the darkness is a cluster of dark clouds that are covering up the sun. I am about to dismiss it and turn away when I notice something. The sky, the bits of it that I can see, being so deep down in the city, are blue. There are no clouds anywhere else apart from these clouds that cover the sun. Although the more that I look, the less they look like clouds. Unlike clouds, they are not travelling across the sky in one direction. They remain stationary and appear to be slowly billowing out in multiple directions. A flash of orange light erupts at the centre of the billow, and after that dissipates as quickly as it had appeared. I see something. It takes me a little while to spot it, as the result of the flash of orange that quickly relit the reflective materials in my room, more intensely this time, and blinds me for a moment. As my vision readjusts, it comes into view. A black silhouette. From what I can see, I make it out to be a cube-like object. Maybe a piece of space debris, but then I ask myself where it would have come from. It's now gaining speed and is leaving a trail of ruby fire in its wake. A faint rumble can be heard from the approaching object. I watch it for a while, as if mesmerised by its presence. It is rather beautiful to behold. The object reaches its maximum speed, and the fires slowly trail out. Yet it continues on its course, and I finally pull my eyes away to see where it will most likely hit. My heart stops and my stomach sinks. My cantina, it perches on what is effectively a metal hill, a tiny place but nevertheless full of memories. I feel a lump build up in my throat and my eyes dart back to the object. It must be seconds away, and just before I think it will hit, I turn away and brace myself. The impact is not as loud as I thought it would be. This may be due to the fact that I have my hands over my ears. I must have done it in a moment of panic and had not realised. I slowly move my hands away and open my eyes, which I had also closed. Taking a deep breath, I turn back to face the window and immediately wish that I had not. There is nothing but thick brown smoke flowing out from the crash site and the faint glimmers of flames in amongst it all. I realise that the force of the impact must have been strong enough to shatter glass, as most of the surrounding buildings are missing windows. My window, on the other hand, is only cracked. The blinds must have been knocked down in amongst all of the chaos, and in their place are faint trickles of water that run in between the gaps in the glass. It must be coming from the water box 2 flights up. The residents of that apartment keep an abnormal amount of rare plants to my understanding. I am suddenly aware of time passing, as it is like I have been frozen to the spot. Finally, after taking a few deep breaths, I decide to go and investigate the damage. To get out of my apartment, I have to make my way down a long flight of stairs. When I open the door to the stairwell, I see nothing but a dark abyss. The 3 lights that had once hung there have been torn down by the impact and likely shattered everywhere. The only reassurance I have of this theory is what I can make out to be the frayed material that had once held up the closest lamp. As this is the only way out, I brave it and take my first step into the unknown. Almost immediately, I feel a sudden crunch beneath my foot. Remembering what is at stake and what could still possibly be saved, I brace myself once again and commence running down the stairs. Crunch after heart-stopping crunch follows me as I go further and further into the thick darkness. In no time at all, I reach the heavy metal door at the bottom and come to a halt. I can now feel the warm liquid in my boots slowly covering my feet. A terrible pain shortly follows. My eyes start to well up and I can feel the lump in my throat again. Through my tears, I position both hands on the door and give it a shove.